Welcome to Mic Check Waifu Waifu.
Mic check, waifu. Montel, is that you?
What's up, 255?
This is episode 255 of Mic Check Waifu. As always, it's brought to you by Patreon. Patreon.com/Mic Check Waifu is where you can get early access to the video version of the podcast. Is where you can get access to the Patreon exclusive podcast, The After Story. It's where you can get access to Mic Check mangas and take talks and other video exclusive content. A big shout out to our Patreon producers. They support us at the Weeb tier. Shout out to the Patreon producers, Christian, the archivist. More from him later. Rob from Dad Needs to Talk podcast. Make sure you check out Dad Needs to Talk podcast. Fear. J. Lee Trey from Shogo High. Ked the Pro from Chaotic Culture. Explicitly. All for one Matt Mazer. Altor. Monique Williams Nachi. Simi Sensei. Frozen. Rob Stone, and last but certainly not least, T Money Fingers. Thank you so much for producing this and many episodes of the podcast. We couldn't do it without y'all. Thank y'all so very much. Now, we know that this is the episode that should have been a live episode, as I stated last week, but we decided to forego the live episode for just a normal episode this week because of, I'm gonna call it personal reasons, I guess. So, shout out to everybody that was understanding. If you guys want all the announcements that's going on with the podcast and any news and information that's going on with us, make sure you follow us on Twitter at MicCheckWaifu, or you join our Discord. Go to MicCheckWaifuWaifu.com, hit the About tab, and join the Discord. That's where you can get all the news. You can talk to other like-minded folks in our community. It's a fantastic place to be. It's open to everybody, no matter if you support us on Patreon or not. So just join the Discord, get all the news with us that's going on, and go from there. Now, Tell, how you feeling?
It's been a good week. We've been chilling. We actually took one extra day off from working out this week.
Okay.
So I actually feel really relieved and rested. Good week, bro. How about you? How you feeling?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. I made a couple of updates to my anime list that I'm gonna talk about a little bit later. I added a few things, I dropped a few things, I paused a few things. There's a lot going on with my anime list that I want to talk about, a lot of shows that I want to talk about. I'm gonna try to avoid spoilers as much as possible with the shows that I'm gonna talk about here, but it's gonna avoid spoilers, definitely. And we should think about what we're gonna spoil this week. It's a very interesting week this week as far as anime go, though. I think we should do a condition called Love. Should be one of them.
Okay.
I think. Did you ever catch up with Moonlit Fantasy? Sukamichi Moonlit Fantasy?
I have not.
Okay. I figured.
Wait, is the season's done?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
It's popping off though. It's 5 more episodes left in it.
Okay.
Going out really good. But
a condition called Love, we can do that one for sure.
Episode 8 of Condition Called Love. Let's do episode 8 of Windbreaker.
That makes sense. Let's do that one.
And why not episode 7 of Jobless?
Cool.
So that's going to be our spoiler talk in the second half of the show after the music break for the uninitiated. It's a very, very unique week. We are going to talk about we're going to bring news into the podcast, which is something we rarely do. But we're going to bring news. But before we get into that and the updates of our lists, I gotta ask Tel, what was your episode of the week this week?
Windbreaker.
Easy, no questions, huh?
No questions asked. Windbreaker. Episode of the week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's hard to disagree with that. I'm gonna go with.
I assumed you was gonna pick that.
No. I mean, if it depends on what you were going to pick per usual. You chose Windbreaker, but I'm going to choose Reincarnated as a Slime Season 3. As a matter of fact, Audible. Let's take out Jobless and add that into the spoiler talk.
Hear me out. That's how I know this, my brother. Because I swear, if Polo picked Windbreaker first this week, it was going to be Reincarnated as a Slime for me as well. Mm-hmm. Because, man, it don't even have to be active. It don't have to get active for Reincarnated as a Slime to be so good, bro.
Oh, yeah, but it did.
It got active. 100%. But, man.
Okay, now, to move on to the updates to the list, there's a lot I want to talk about, per se. A lot that I got. Luckily, I have this add-on for my shout out to Opera GX. They're not a sponsor yet, but I can access Discord and still have Discord recording us at the same time without having an issue there. All right, so there's one show I want to talk about in particular that I know you and a lot of other people are liking, and that will be Go Loser Ranger.
All right.
That has dropped off of my list completely. I'm very much over it. I don't think I care to return, but something that one of our Patreon producers, the archivist Christian, aka Death Scythe, he gave a little insight in our mic check form. So make sure you join the Discord so you can get access to those forms. But I said he mentioned in the Discord that he mentioned that one of the characters looked like Rukia from Bleach. And I'm like, it's pretty funny. But I said I'm gonna leave that show to y'all. I couldn't even get past the full episode last week. And I'm just bored.
Right.
So he said you did put up a good fight though. This is Christian, by the way. He says you did put up a good fight though. There's definitely other heat this season. It's trying, but somehow I'm just not as interested as before. Do you think it's the pacing? So he's feeling the same way I am. He said I watched episode 3 through 7 and I'm struggling to get through 8. And I'm like, yes, it's the pacing and the tone just all over the place. I really wish it was a darker, more serious. But I guess it was it would have made for a more cooler story, in my opinion, is what I said. And he says, sorry for the back and forth, but he says, yeah, I think so too. He said, but this is the part that I think is important, what Christian said. He says, yeah, I think so too. The previews made it seem like it was going to be a little bit more edgier. And what's happening in 7 just way too slow as of right now. Also, it seems almost off topic, if that makes sense. And that is the epitome of what I feel that the last 2 episodes, which is 6 and 7 before, which is 6 and 7. I feel like the show was off topic. I feel like it kind of lost itself after the brilliant episode that it had leading up to those previous 2 episodes. It's all over the place. And because of that, I think this is a perfect time for me to share. My tastes have changed completely when it comes to this. I'm normally very patient when it comes to anime. I don't have patience for stuff like this anymore. Like if it can't set a tone, a consistent tone, or again, if I don't care about the characters, I say that all the time. But if I don't care about the characters, which I don't, I'm not gonna enjoy it. And at this point in my life, where I've watched probably over 1,000 anime, it's not worth kind of pushing through something I'm not enjoying. And Go Loser Ranger is one that I'm just not enjoying.
And that's completely fair. Because I still think to the point of this show, the best moments of it have been darker, edgier scenes.
Yep.
And it is so good because it's such a huge contrast to what we expect out of this character archetype and like
100%
the Sentai characters or whatever, right? But I agree, and I'm not dropping it off my list. Not because I think this episode was good, because I did not. It didn't even give me enough like backstory contextually to feel like it was good in that regard either. I'm just holding on for the fact that I think it'll get it back into I think it will pay off. I think it'll get back into what made me attracted to the show initially, but where we're at right now, this feels very like weak boot campish, like creating fake rivalries within the path to your goal. It doesn't. It off topic was the best way to describe
100%. When he said that, I'm like, I literally in my office chair, I sat here like, wow, that's perfect. Like I said that out loud. Like that's a perfect way of putting it. It's very off topic, and it's what I think it is. And I will say this: I do think it will pay off. I do think there is more to the story that will be that's going to progress and end up being better than I'm thinking it is. Like, yeah, it's going to be better than I think it is personally. Like 100%. I don't think it's going to be like a Ninja Kamui type of situation to where it falls completely flat and just be ass, as we stated multiple times. I think this is actually going to be something that's good, but I don't have the patience to even try to care.
Ramp up.
Yeah, to try to care for it to ramp up anymore, because it's been 7 or 5 episodes to the point where I watched. So why do
and that's
that?
not even your fault. Like we said, pacing is so important, especially when like you have the main character's name is Fighter D. We don't even have an official name other than Fighter D, which is such a generic name for our main character, which already makes it harder to tie yourself to that character. So now we gotta lean heavily into the world and then the accessory characters, right? And we're leaning into this world that has this really cool premise and concept, but we're not really going there. We're stuck on training right now that's not necessarily building the world, and that's building characters that we already don't really care about because they're not there for us yet, and they just haven't spent the time to. Yeah, we're 7 episodes in, 8 episodes in. Why are we trying to build up these characters when we need to be, focusing on our main character for this first season at least to build up a little bit more, right? Which makes it kind of suck because this is that scenario we may end up in where like a first season can be a better binge, compared to the second season that is now already into the meat and potatoes of what the show is trying to be, and that is a sour taste, so to speak.
Yeah, and to talk about a better binge, that was like the topic of our Discord discussion as well in the Anime Talk channel, because Fear asked if it is a good idea to watch Yatagarasu right now, week to week, or is it good to binge? While Yatagarasu is quickly becoming one of my favorite shows this season, like every episode has been spectacular. I think this show is going to be an even better binge than it is week to week, because Frozen even mentioned how great it's been watching this. It's starting to ramp up. He thinks it's going to actually be a war that breaks out. Well, I think it's going to be opposite. I think it's going to be like a sly game that's going to be played. That's going to spin everything on its head. And I think it's already being played right now, and we just don't know it yet.
But I definitely can lean with the Civil War concept. Like, when I hear war in this context, right, I'm thinking like like how you're saying it's definitely going to be a little bit more of a chess game that's already being played. But I do think that there's going to be a slight war, especially with what kind of happened in this episode. I don't think it's going to be something big where it's like large scale units moving to attack here and here. I think it's going to be more like that chess move that you're talking about, where you send assassin here or small attacks here or there to insight to try and get to a larger scale thing. Yeah, so I am enjoying this show too, bro. I'm very happy that you're enjoying it, because this one definitely almost got overlooked by me.
Same.
So I'm happy that we're both kind of on that page, and at some point through this season, I think we're gonna have a good time talking about what wraps up in this. It's
20 episodes long, so we are in for a long, wild ride. It's crazy that it's 20 episodes deep. We're on episode 8. And it's progressed further. It's characters you care more about than shows that's been running at the same time, at the same pace, that has less episodes, that only has 12, that are wrapping up in 3 weeks. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a weird dynamic going on there. But to continue the updates to the list, I added 2 shows in particular that I'm going to start working on. One of them is My arch enemy and hero. Now, what this is a very interesting concept so far. I believe I'm about 4 or 5 episodes into it so far. But I added this because it came out in 2013, and I watched a trailer for it. It came out in 2013, but it looked like it dropped in like 2022. It's so beautiful. It's a beautiful show. But watching it had me more intrigued at the first episode, because it's about a hero who's fighting the war against the Demon King, the huge. So he's fighting a war against the Demon King. He decides that I'm going to since I'm faster and since I can make it, it'll be a little bit easier for me to make it. I'm going to go to the Demon King's castle and try to solo the Demon King while y'all fight on the lines. He goes to fight the Demon King, and he finds out that it's this beautiful redhead woman is the Demon King. And the entire time that the Demon King is there, she's like, I've been waiting for you to get here because I want you to become mine because of reasons. And these reasons are because she understands what this is actually about. What's cool about this show is that it's a giant metaphor. It's about the rich taking advantage of war, essentially. Mm-hmm. And with that comes crazy good dialogue, crazy good characters. They don't even use they don't even have names. His name is Hero and her name is Demon King. And like right now in the first few episodes that I've been watching, they're quote unquote undercover in a city because they're trying to help develop a better way of farming, agricultural knowledge to one of the smaller villages so they can pass it on and help stop the famine that's going on throughout the country, because they don't even know about like rotating crops and tilling the grounds and farming correctly in order to stop from missing out on harvests and shit. So they don't even know about that. But she's trying to show it. So she's undercover as a scholar and he's undercover as a scholar helper. And the name that they use is Scholar Helper and Scholar. It's so interesting that these characters don't have name, but they have so much character that when we talked about earlier how Fighter D, when you brought up Fighter D name being Fighter D, and we don't really have any real knowledge of who he is or what he's about, it made me think of this even more, because I'm like, this guy, this Hero, I know a lot about him. I know his mannerisms, and I'm only 4 episodes in. I know his goals, the reason why he's doing it. I know the Demon King goals and the reason why she's doing it. It's a very special show already. It has a 70% on AniList, but overall, I think so far, only 4 episodes in, it's really, really, really good. Came out in 2013, and it's just a gorgeous looking show.
It looks like a mobile game I used to play, actually. Which isn't back. I think the art style does look really good. But beautiful. When you talked to me earlier about we're looking at our list and stuff. One I know you're not watching that is from this season that I did see. Was it Dad Needs to Talk? There was one other person. Fear Oblivion Battery.
Yep.
It's pretty good, bro. And I say it's pretty good in the context of a sports anime. I played baseball as a kid, and even one summer in middle school I played baseball. When I got to high school, that was done. But there is a very interesting perspective we have here, right? Because yes, it's very sport centric, but this show is doing a very good job of like building some connections. I think the only episode I did not like was like episode 5, but episodes 6 and 7. These last 2 episodes were so like special in character building. They built so much motive, so much direction for a specific character into where we got right now, to where it's almost like they focused on a specific character and why he has his lack, and it's called yips, right? Where basically you are bad at something you were once really good at out of fear, because you gained the fear or whatever. Like let's say you got hit with a baseball, because the show is about baseball. You got hit with a baseball. Now all of a sudden, every time a baseball comes near you just jump. And how do you overcome that in the sport? How do you do that? And it's like this episode addressed that so well, and overcoming it, and the training arc to overcome it. It was kind of crazy. Oblivion Battery is definitely, I think, a sports anime that's worth the watch so far. There's only been 1 episode I didn't like, and I think it was just because And I hate to say, I think it might have been because they were actually playing baseball. But everything else has been so good in terms of like we're building these characters, understanding the dynamics of how they're going to be better in their relationships. So Oblivion Battery, I definitely think it's worth it.
It's funny because that sounds like what Haikyuu isn't. Haikyuu, how you watch Haikyuu and it builds up to the volleyball and you're excited to watch them play. This seems like you're excited to watch them get ready to play, but them playing isn't that interesting so far.
Yeah, and it does kind of feel though, and it might be because when they were playing, it was like we saw what they did in training utilized in a sense, right? And it was like, oh almost yeah, that's cool. But then it was like, okay, I don't need to see this anymore. Yeah. Because we saw this in the training. It was nice to see it happen once, but I don't need to watch the whole 9 innings for this. But you know, it's still a good show in the training so far. So I do think, like I said, so far I think it's worth a watch. I'm enjoying the episodes that I've watched.
Now, there are a couple of things too that I would like to add. There's one show that I know this is gonna probably freak you and multiple people out. Except for Dad Needs to Talk, he won't be surprised because I mentioned it already to him on our Twitter. But Mission Yozakura Family. I love the series, okay? But I'm putting it on a binge later list. I'm putting it on the binge later list is because I feel like this is a show that will be better binged because of the way it's doing the smaller scenarios or stories within the bigger scenario and story. Because it's doing it that way, I think I'm willing to let it just be done and then binge it later and then have a great conversation, a great watch of it. Yeah, and mostly, and this is and hear me out because this is important. It's mostly because it's on Hulu. Like I have access to Hulu. Luckily, when I watch anime on Hulu, I don't have commercials, but it's on Hulu. Their subtitles on Hulu are so unbelievably small and awful looking that it's hard for me to even watch it. Even when I'm sitting 2 feet away from the monitor, it's a bad experience for a show I love. So I'm gonna binge it. They're starting to dub for it already. They're gonna dub it. It's probably, like Danny mentioned, it's probably gonna be done around Christmas, which is a very long time. But I think that's okay. I don't think I'm too pressed to watch it all right now. Even though I still love the series, there's no distaste for it, but there's just so much I want to do. And I'm gonna go to the other main reason why I'm doing this is because I'm adding kind of a longer show to my list. Yeah. Because next season, I took a little sneak peek at next season because I was trying to figure out what we're going to talk about today for days. Just a small peek. It's looking pretty good, but a small peek. But it's from a show from 2009 called From Me to You. Kimi no Tokide, From Me to You. This is a slice of life show that I've never watched because it was a shoujo and it was before my tastes have changed. Obviously, I wasn't into the shoujos. Obviously, back in 2009, I was more of the slice of life, shonen guy. So I'm picking this up because season 3 for this particular show is coming out next season. Season 1 is 25 episodes and season 2 is 13 episodes. So it's a lot of content to get through before season 3 next season. So I'm adding that to the list to get that done after I watched Arch Enemy and Hero.
And what's the name of that one?
From Me to You. Kimi ni Tokide. From Me to You.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think having that in my list for next season is going to be cool because I would really like to watch what that is. It's very highly rated too. Like it has a 80%, basically a 79% on Annie list. Crystal has it in her list that's completed. She gave it a 9 out of 10. So it's probably a banger. It's probably a banger. So
surefire way of checking, knowing Crystal gave it a 9.
So I'm looking forward to that. But outside of that, it's one more show that is kind of teetering on the fall off. Not necessarily that I'm gonna drop it, right? But it's the fall off. It's Unnamed Memory, man. Like, it's these last couple of episodes have been just, and shout out to another producer, Rob Stone, who left a brilliant comment on our last week's video about Unnamed Memory. But I'm gonna just read what he says because it perfectly sums up exactly how we feel. He says, agree totally on Unnamed Memory. And this is on our YouTube comment on the video of last week's show. He gets early access because he's a Patreon supporter. But he says, I digress. He says, agree totally on Unnamed Memory. It feels so rushed for no reason. Tanasha turned up and pretended not to be a witch at the palace in episode 1. Excuse me, sorry. And then revealed herself within a half of an episode. Now the kiss came out of nowhere and it felt unearned. Apparently there were several subplots developing the relationship and the world that were skipped. Spoilers for episode 7, including most of the plot with Lanik, they skipped past to the end of the storyline. This week, when they could have been a few more episodes to try to sell the bad guy as a treat. Instead, the whole arc was just over in 2 episodes, and I'm left confused as to whether we're meant to be impressed with that, with what happened. That's a good question. And he said it felt like no big deal on screen because it was just so quick but on paper, a huge amount happened. Yeah, like, so when you step back and take a look at this show, like, this was a whole villain arc in 2 episodes that felt like I was watching it in 2 times speed. Like, it was ridiculously fast. Everything that we thought was going to happen happened. It was highly predictable and hard to watch.
And it's so sad to say because we're very much on the same page.
I still love the show though.
I do. But I feel like I said exactly that. The show is, if this happens next week, the show is now extremely predictable, and it puts it in a very weird place because it's like, yes, I enjoy the show, but that does detract from a little bit of the enjoyability because it was on one. You know what I mean? Like, when definitely. I say on one, I mean it was on one. Like, it seemed like it had the romance that we liked from the one shoujo where the girl was reincarnated however many times and had all the different knowledge and stuff. It had the romance there. Yeah, the time loop. It had it had a romance element. It had the past, the past and possible building of a kingdom in the future. And then we get this, and it was like, ugh. That was tasteless. Rob
Stone is absolutely right. It felt like it was so many I mean, it's clear that it was because he said it was, but it felt like this. You could feel the missing subplots within this story. Mm-hmm. Like, it just felt so off the past 2 episodes, and it's upsetting because, again, we still like the show, but it's like, what happened? Like, why would it take this complete left turn? Sorry if you hear the car in the background, but this complete left turn out of nowhere from, like I said, just floating this season. Floating in cloud 9. It was so good. It was so good. Moving on. Anything else in your list that has changed, maybe? I guess. Go ahead.
Nah, I don't have anything actually in my list that has technically changed other than Oblivion Battery being
added.
100% added. Well, it's added at the moment. I haven't. At this point, I have to finish it.
Yeah.
But the other things have just stayed the same. Still watching Mysterious Disappearances.
Yeah, same.
Bartender Glass of God seems still like it's getting in a better spot for me. Because I feel like it's getting close to a point where there's a storyline that's fully gonna probably pop out and sink some teeth in.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah.
To touch on Kaiju No.8, the update. So shout out to another producer, All For One Matt. He asked me, they kind of answered your question, and I'm like, yeah, kind of, right? He transformed. It slight spoiler. He's transformed. It was cool. Now, next episode is where we get to see if it fills my my wishes. Rob Stone also comments on this as well. He says, I think Kaiju number 8 may disappoint you in terms of revealing the MC. Because everybody, if you didn't listen last week, I had a problem with the fact that episode 1, our main character gets this kaiju power, and then all the way in the episode, what the episode number we on? Like 8 or something like that?
Hold on. We haven't
episode 7. He just haven't used it, and he's just been bumbling around, and it's been dragging on extremely far, and it's been annoying to me personally. But he says I don't feel like it's going to happen publicly for a while. I think they want to drill down more into him contributing in other ways. First for another 3 or 4 episodes, which would be crazy because there's only 12. We're on episode 7. So if they do that, then the season's over pretty much.
Yeah. And we got nothing for MC.
Exactly.
And the thing is that they can do that because he literally showed us he can transform part of his body. We're not asking for a lot.
No, it's and he says we also need to establish other side characters so they accept him being a kaiju. Now that part about it, I can see, right? Yeah. They want to give the side characters their moment, because in this most recent episode, which by the time I think Rob Stone wrote this, that episode didn't come out yet. They did exactly that, right? They gave his friend more time to shine, even though he didn't need any more. But they gave another character with him a little bit more depth, which was cool. Like it was neat, and it was also neat to see. Slight spoilers: the vice captain. But I'm hoping next episode will do exactly what I think it will do. And I know, again, Rob, I know you wrote that before that episode aired, so it's kind of tough for you to rebuttal. I'm sure you can give your thoughts in next week's comment on the YouTube video. But I do think it's going to solve my issue here, because he's going to come close to probably nuking our guy, and he has to. And I'm hoping he has to show what he got. But all in all, I still love Kaiju number 8. It was better this week than last. I am still tired of the trope. Ready for more, basically.
Yeah.
Moral of the story. Okay. Now, let's get to this topic really quick before we go into spoiler talk. Now, the topic comes from... Now, for those of you who listen to the After Story podcast, you know me and Till are into tech. We like techie stuff. We're okay with techie stuff. Hell, I would even say I'm okay with AI. Like, I don't have a problem with AI.
For the most part.
Yeah, for the most part. Like, as long as it's not like getting rid of writers' jobs and shit like that, like, I'm okay with AI.
Right.
So I came across this article about Sony leveraging AI to boost anime business and streamline production. This is written by Anime Hunch. It's written up by Anime Hunch. A.R. Modillo. Sorry. But this was last updated May 23rd, so 3 days ago, which is great. It's about a 4-minute read. Make sure you guys check out this article. The link will be in the show notes, so check it out. Give them some love. We would appreciate it. But this is very interesting because, Taylor, I don't know if you could start reading for me. I feel like I've been talking a lot.
All right.
But this is the article about AI and anime.
We in there. So I want y'all to know I'm pretty excited about this. I actually used to be the Sony expert for Best Buy. So I do know a decent amount about Sony and their processing units and even their processors, which are the best in movies at the moment. Like literally, if you go to the movie theater, they use Sony projectors and Sony processing for a majority of their stuff for the highest quality of things. But onto the article here. On May 23rd, 2024, Sony Group Corp held its Sony Group Management policy briefing, where they announced plans to boost its animation business by leveraging advanced technologies, including newly developed animation creation software and artificial intelligence. Sony aims to expand through its existing subsidiaries, Aniplex and US-based animation distributor Crunchyroll LLC, positioning the anime business as a major revenue source alongside its established sectors of games, music, and movies. Sony president, COO, and CFO Hiroki Totoko pointed out that Crunchyroll is one of the fastest growing and most profitable areas within the film division of the company. In the briefing, the Tokyo-based electronics and entertainment giant highlighted the potential of AI to increase production efficiency and improve the quality of its animated titles. The news comes on the back of Japan investing heavily in a startup which would use AI translations to boost the export of manga. While they didn't reveal finer details of how AI will be implemented, one can make an educated guess from the previous reports that had come out. Back in February 2024, Crunchyroll President Raul Peruni said that the streaming giant will integrate AI in various workflows within the organization, particularly focusing on subtitling and closed captioning. Reports had also showcased how AI was being used in anime production, especially to create backgrounds due to labor shortage. Additionally, Sony also revealed the development of an animation production software done in collaboration with Aniplex's AI Pictures and Cloverworks, along with Sony Music and Sony Group. What's up?
That was A1 Pictures.
Oh yeah, A1 Pictures. Sorry, my bad. This software, named Anime Canvas, aims to improve production environments, the efficiency, and the quality of works. While details are still unclear, the software is reportedly said to be digital 2D based according to visuals presented during the briefing. A trial version is said to be launched this year.
Okay. So, I mean, there's still more to the article, but I believe we got the gist of it there. Now, here's the thing. This entire article or entire situation is twofold for me personally. I think using AI to boost business in the subtitling space and streamlining the anime production is both a gift and a curse. Why it's a curse? Because there are people that work at Crunchyroll that specialize in subtitling anime. It's also a curse because what AI is going to do to the translation is probably going to fuck it up for a very long time before it gets it right. Like the translations, like there's going to be a bunch of mistranslated shows whenever they start to use it, etc. However, the gift is that we get anime faster. We get anime as soon as Japan gets it. Which has already been a thing, but it'll probably speed up that whole gap between us getting it and Japan getting it because of the translations being faster and whatnot. And it's also a gift because it is stated that it's going to improve the quality, which is hard to believe when it comes to AI, because again, it's just not there yet. I think personally, as far as the quality goes, but I'm glad it is able to help the labor shortage when it comes to like background designs and stuff. But I'm also worried because anybody that's in the field trying to get in the industry, they won't have an open opportunity now because of this type of thing. You know what I'm saying? It's a whole gift and curse thing because I love AI. Like I do. I'm a fan of it in the case of like making stuff better and easier. But I'm also scared of it because it can ruin a lot of people's lives.
And when you look at a lot of this, so when I think of the AI, especially with the software that Sony and Crunchyroll is looking to roll out, I think of it primarily as maybe they use it as the initial drafting phase, where I need a scene where this character's running across the screen this way, and they use the AI software to draft the scene, then they use their actual 3D artists to go over that and amplify it, right? I think that is a proper way of utilizing this. It could definitely go extremely wrong very quickly if they start to use it for more, because like you could even think of the aspect of how far AI goes already, where they could say we don't even need American voice actors anymore. We can just take these voices. We know what the American words are. We can take our Japanese or Korean or whatever voice actors they want to use and say, let's just have AI translate this to English without ever having to use an American voice actor. They could go that far.
I hope not. That'd be awful.
It would be, right? Because we want to hear some of our favorite voice actors who are people we're used to or accustomed to, right? But I wanted to look at this, right? So Sony has always had like their own processors in their computers. They make, or not computers, in their TVs. And they have some of the best processors because they have some of the best processors that go into cameras that help, digest all this information for everything, all the software and hardware they use. They use the same processors across their monitors, their cameras, and their projectors, all that stuff, right? Now, the Sony XR processors have always used AI in a sense to when you get like an OLED, they make sure that on top of what they already have in terms of the tech, that they push that further with the HDR and everything like that. And they try and simulate that unlimited refresh rate, et cetera, et cetera. I wonder, you can't have a truly unlimited refresh rate, but they try and simulate it with the processors or whatever. But it does make it interesting to see like how far can this processor, so to speak, really push the design of anime, you know what I mean? Because it will take off some of that load off of the animators' hands.
I mean, and to think
it helps leverage the special effects and whatnot.
Sure, but just look at the studios that are going to be using this new anime canvas software. This new anime canvas software is being used by A1 Pictures and Cloverworks, two of my absolute favorite animation studios that no matter what brings out the most top quality work. Like they're incredible. They're the epitome of animation studios outside of like Ufotable and Mappa. But I mean, these two I think are even better than Mappa in my personal opinion because of their consistency. But I digress. Yeah. I think those two are seeing what they put out in the next 3 years will be very, very important. So I say this to say, archivists, if you can store this particular part of the episode somewhere, look out for A1 Pictures and Cloverworks animations in the future, because then we'll see if it made a difference or whatever the case may be. I also wanted to go back through the article and mention the fact that one of the most important pieces I think that is very important in this, and it's something that was said here. Excuse me let me find a second to find it because it was very important. Yeah, here it is. Sony aims to expand its existing subsidiaries Aniplex and the U.S. animation distributor Crunchyroll, positioning the anime business as a major source of revenue alongside its established sectors of games, music, and movies. The fact that they're pointing at anime as a major source of revenue within their television bracket is a lot. That's a big deal for Sony, because Sony, everybody knows that the top of the food chain for Sony is PlayStation. It's PlayStation, and then there's everything else. And everything else don't come close to the amount of money that PlayStation makes. But for them to mention specifically anime being one of their major revenue resources, or it being the fastest growing revenue resource for their television division, is massive. So with that being said, I think that is very important key to take away from this, that it's growing. However, it's also very scary because the fact that they say using AI to translate manga is also scary. I also saw something else that showed that the Japanese studios lost $3.5 billion in manga piracy in 2023. $3.5 billion. That was with a dollar sign. It wasn't with a yen. So think about how much fucking money that is. It's crazy. So if they start to, and it's again a double-edged sword. It's unfortunate that because of piracy, they're going to try to make as much as they can. So they're going to cut the translators that translate these mangas, and just use AI to do it. Which it's a scary thing to think about, man. I'm a little bit concerned for that because of it's rough. It's rough to think about.
The translators I can see, but I actually think AI was going to adapt to that a lot faster. I think that you said look out for A1 Studios and what was it? Cloverworks. A1 Studios and Cloverworks, right? I would hate to see if they do utilize AI in helping in their animation and special effects, and then watching stuff get recycled. Because that, for me personally, because like you said, with the consistency, they consistently do a really good job. And I would hate to see that consistency get duplicated, and then you start seeing the same effects as in this A1 anime in another A1 anime. You know what I mean?
To put it in perspective, for those of you who are unaware of Cloverworks' cachet, just to put it into perspective of the recency bias, Cloverworks did Windbreaker. They're doing Windbreaker. So if that says anything about their quality, know that they're top. They're top tier. They did Bocchi the Rock. They did like Black Butler, the new Black Butler. Like Spy Family, obviously.
It looks great.
In condition with Wiz Studios. Like there's so much great work that they do that it's kind of, we gotta keep track of their works past, I think, circa 2026. I think circa 2026 is when we'll start to see this being established, right? Like, cause it's already, we're almost halfway through of 2024. I think 2025 might still be consistent with what they're working on now. Like, they might be still future proofing and stuff like that. So I think 2026 is where we start to see maybe this work out.
Okay.
You know,
we're going to put a pin in that and make sure we check back. And
episode 455.
It'll be less episodes than that, will it?
Yeah, probably. I don't know. That's too much math that I ain't got time to do at 11 o'clock at night. All right.
310.
Right. Hey, if you guessed that right, that'd be crazy. All right, let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to spoil those 3 shows aforementioned at the beginning of the podcast. So we'll be right back after these. And welcome back to episode 255 of Mic Check Waifu. Spoiler half of the show. Thank you all so much for listening. If you're not caught up on, we started off with Windbreaker first. Come back when you are caught up to episode 8 of Windbreaker, and caught up when you're caught up with season 3, episode 8 of Reincarnated as a Slime. Come back when you're caught up. What's funny is, and I say this all the time, but I'm gonna say this here again. Seeing the numbers of people going back to the old episodes and listening again, like to catch up on the season, like, it's such a special thing. It's such a special thing. A little behind the sauce, but it's like we kind of double dip when we do that, which is cool. Yeah. It's kind of cheating, but you know, college genius, I guess. We love y'all so much for even going back. Shout out to Simi Sensei. We got to have a hashtag Simi Says section on the show one day. Send me right in. I don't know if you're in the Discord, send me, but write in the Discord with a Semi Says, and we're gonna mention it next week if you're listening, which I got a feeling he is. All right, let's do this. Windbreaker first, bro. Episode 8. Sakura won.
Yeah.
As everything that I've gut checked so far has been right. But I'm absolutely loving the way I am right now. And I was gonna save this for the review, but I'm gonna say it now. This show takes every fucking trope that happens in shonen, and they do it so perfectly that it's hard to even fathom anything less than. You know, like it's like when you watch something that's super tropey, like the typical shonen shit, you can't, like, it's so well done as far as character beats and even the whole plot armor part where he's getting beat up, but he's overcoming, you know, getting his ass whooped, and he powers up basically through something. It's all done so well because it's deeper. It's always a deeper story or deeper meaning within any action piece, like the fight between Togame and Sakura. Like it's such a well done fight with great interwoven backstory, with the whole conversations with your fist thing being brought into it. It's perfect. It was a perfect, typical shonen situation that turned out great.
They also do a great job of taking these characters and stripping the meathead away from them and giving them a purpose. Because this could very easily be this is Draken, and Draken just had whatever, and now he's a meathead and want to fight. These characters, not only do they have that backstory, but the backstory is always something extremely compelling, which it ties the things together, ties the friendship together. And let's even say it's kind of shallow to the point to where, like, these two people did not really know each other
or like each other.
And they gave us this backstory, and they kind of became what appears to be this unstoppable, unbreakable unit. And you get this really, really heartfelt moment where you feel like, man, what's his name? Togame? Mm-hmm. Like, he really cares about this dude. This is really his friend. To this episode, him getting kicked dead in his face.
Yeah.
for losing, so to speak, and then getting back up.
Because essentially he tried to, like, yo, let's just stop this shit. This shit is dumb, basically, is what he's saying. And he got kicked in the fucking mouth. And Choji is like, yo, don't talk to me. You lost. You're weak. And to see Sakura about to go off about that and fucking getting pissed off about that was dope.
Also see that bro there was a body bag waiting for you if you did the wrong thing.
100%, which we learned a little bit later. But then to see the Bofurian leader or whatever step in, like the Naruto scene when they stopped Gaara from killing Rock Lee, or the fucking I hate that I'm even about to say this, but the Black Bull is stopping old boy from killing other old boy. Like, it was just that type of moment where he stopped, because if you do this, you don't get smoked. Mm-hmm. Or not even realizing that until he sat down and saw Choji fight, because Choji was like, he was excited to get this quote unquote punch that Sakura was going to throw. Yeah. So when he saw that, he wouldn't have stood no chance against him. He like, fuck that, I got to get stronger. And that is a good way to go into that whole training, I need to develop arc part that's probably going to come after this. But it was great. It was fucking, that little few second scene right there that happened at interaction was perfect. Then leading into the fight between the two leaders, which again, so good.
And it's immediately faster paced.
Yep.
Because let's also be real, right? A lot of this, they do their pacing so extremely well.
Perfect.
Because this is a slower paced fight. And even when they were like going back and forth, going fast, this was like the grappler versus the I got the hands, the kicks kind of fight. It feels slower paced than as soon as the two captains got on stage.
Yeah.
And started fighting. Which, to be fair, like in terms of actual visual presence, they were not paced different at all, or in terms of speed. But it's the camera angles they use. They're very dynamic. They're shooting from every angle, bro. When Choji took off, they got the little side corner angle of his foot, and then he's wrapping up to the top of bro, and the angle changed for the camera again. And it's like they do a really good job of capturing really dynamic angles that make these fights just feel even more action packed than they already are, on top of the excellent fight choreography, everything like that, bro. They are killing it.
What's so funny is that watching Choji fight with them, I felt, even just feeling it, I can feel the Buffiran leader. He wasn't doing anything. He was just letting them get his shots off, get his hits off. He was just taking them like boom, 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 boom. But I felt like he was just doing that on purpose. And that is a feeling that you can convey to the viewer so well that you're doing something right. Then when he asks him the question, it's like, did you not understand what what happened in that Togame and Sakura fight? And Choji's like, what the fuck are you talking about, basically? And no, it was just talking. It didn't matter. And then when he turned it on towards the end, I can feel the presence. Like, I felt his fucking spiritual pressure weighing me down. Like, it was incredible. Like, what they do so well is establishing power, right? They're establishing a power scale without having one, essentially. You know, it's the presence. Yes. Establishing the power scale and the presence within these characters is extremely special, because Choji seems like a demon, like an absolute demon, like a little rascal demon. But then when our guy got serious, it's like, it felt heavy. Like, I felt heavy. Like I felt the fucking pressure as a viewer, which I find to be extremely interesting, that you can invoke this emotion within me. Somebody who don't like shonen, who don't give a fuck about fights outside of ones that I'm in. Like, I don't care about that shit. It's like, but I'm in it. I'm invested. I'm literally on the edge of my seat watching this show. Like, here for the video watch, was like enthralled, captivated. And then when it ends, I'm like, fuck, man. Whoever's going to watch Windbreaker, this goes back to the story that we mentioned earlier. Who's ever going to watch Windbreaker in a binge capacity is in for the most special treat of all time. This is about to be a top tier 10 out of 10 binge.
This has been 2 days in the anime. Yes. This has been 2 days in the anime, bro. Bro just pulled up to this neighborhood.
Bro, oh man, I even love the fact that he realized how his own weakness now too. Like, it's just so much characterization and just overall better everything within Windbreaker than it has been in any other delinquent show, Tokyo Revengers included, I've ever seen.
Even Yu Yu Hakusho?
Yes, way better than Yu Yu Hakusho. I said it. Sue me.
Clip that.
I know those classic, but Yu Yu Hakusho is the greatest of all time, but that's only because you watch 6 shows. Yu Yu Hakusho is great. Windbreaker is better. And that's okay. Two things can be true. Both can be great. One could be better. Moving on.
Bars.
Reincarnated as a slime. Just pause to back up just a little bit. You know what I can't stand?
That remember was a goat, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, the fact that people, if you say something about a classic, people will be like, you know, headless chickens.
Hit the antagonist.
I'm sick of it. Old shows are old. They're great for a reason. They still have their place in history. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is still one of the greatest shows of all time, but guess what? It's neither one of our number ones. Two things could be true. Moving on. Now, season 3, episode 8 of The Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. What is it? Okay, I want to preface this by saying this has been a spectacular season so far. Like, even though for most people it's not a lot of action. Shout out to Infamous Brave on Twitter. Not a lot of action in Reincarnated as a Slime. But what Reincarnated as a Slime does well is it doesn't need it. It's the political. It's the political intrigue. It's the how everybody's moving, seeing the growth of the town, seeing what inevitably what's going to lead up to the Tenma War, which they mention throughout the season, which is fucking scary to think about. And for those of you who are uninitiated, The Tenma War is a war that, and this is back in, I think, season 2, they mentioned this, but whenever a human or just a race becomes overly developed, literally angels come down and wipe them the fuck out. They start all over. They just clean them out. They empty the fucking world, basically, or the town that's being overly developed. So essentially what this is leading to, what it's hinting to, is that because Rimuru is fucking
doing too much too fast,
doing way too much too fast, is going to lead to a Tenma War, obviously. And that's what essentially those 7 sage people are trying to prevent before that, including killing Veldora, but I digress. All that was mentioned within this show. And I know it's a lot of talking, a lot of dialogue, but it's beautiful talking, it's beautiful dialogue. But this week, we got into the action.
Didn't even need it, but
yes, I'm so glad you're with me on that, because we didn't at all. But Hinata made it to Rimuru's team, basically, while Rimuru planned to stop these other people who are getting manipulated by the 7 sages or whatever the fuck they are, in order to get manipulated to fight Rimuru's people. What Rimuru and their people did brought some low level people in their village that just have a hard time dying. They said, you know what, we send Shion teams out there because they can rejuvenate, they have the ability, and they need the combat experience. They send them out and they get cut the fuck up, but it don't matter because they heal right up and they take out that entire army, basically, which is fucking sweet. It's amazing. Dale?
Not to mention Shion herself.
Oh my gosh. When she changed the battle.
Yeah, bro, hear me out though, because it's funny. It's funny because we know that she's not even the strongest out of them.
Well, like, she's the strongest out of them, yes. She's second, basically, to like Rimuru, essentially.
Yes, but what I mean by strongest is like battle power, right? We know that the other ones like can cause.
Nope, she's the strongest.
Well, I mean, like, because I know what her power is. I understand that her power itself is the strongest. Yes, I get that. I'm saying, like, in terms of...
no, battle power, she's the strongest.
Yeah, I get that. What I'm trying to say is that she ain't demonstrated nothing that's as powerful as, like, I can't remember the red dude.
Benimaru, she's stronger than him.
Benimaru, yeah, I get she can beat him, but I'm saying Benimaru actually threw out flames that could destroy, like, a town. Yeah. Whereas... she's just like, I'm not interested in that, but ain't nothing changing over here when I come through. I'm doing what I want. But it's hilarious because of her position in proximity to Rimuru. She is like a gag character, but it's also like she's not here to play around with you. Yes. She's not here to play around. like
What's so great about her is the fact that she is the absolute strongest in their camp outside of like Rimuru. Like, she's number 2 for a reason. She can go toe to toe with what's her name, Diablo. She can go toe to toe with Diablo and probably win. What's crazy is that because of her gagness, like her satireness of her, you can't see it. Like, you can't really take her serious. But when you see her get serious,
you don't have a choice.
You don't have a choice. Like, she's the one that was capable of turning, the king and everybody to mush meat. Like, she turned all of them into that. Like, she only has the power to do that, while Diablo only has the power to fix it. But like, it's like Reincarnated as a Slime is one of my favorite isekais, because this is another show that I've, just like Overlord, I dive so deep into the lore and the background and the world of this, because it's written so well. Yeah. What's great is that seeing that, the Holy Knights, I think they're called, seeing the Holy Knights think that these are just monsters, that was absolutely my favorite part, Tel. I'm sitting back laughing so fucking hard the entire time, watching this redhead dude talk shit to Shion like she's just she's literally a disaster level, almost god tier level character, and he's just talking this shit. I'm like, yo, what the fuck is happening right now?
I'm the wrong person, bro.
Straight up.
This is not what you need to be doing right now.
What are you going to do inside of this holy field? Okay. Ooh, she just jumps up and slices the holy field up, and it's just like it's nothing.
And like it's nothing. And that's what made it more beautiful.
I love it.
Is that it's like everybody came back, all of the Mirror's people came back. His top people came back unscathed. Everybody beat.
Not even breathing hard.
And it's just like, Hinata, I know what you came here to do.
Which, to put that into perspective, though, what All For One Matt said, he said, I was not expecting that fight to be as close as it was. And I'm right there with him. Like, like she really gave Rimuru a run for his money, which goes to show that she ain't no slouch at all. Mm. Even though Rimuru mid-fight developed something that was going to trounce her eventually, right? He was still having trouble, which blew me back.
I also have the understanding, or at least I'm trying to understand. He still has Ifrit in his body, doesn't he?
Oh yeah.
So I mean, there's a lot of power that he has not utilized yet.
But that's not. It wouldn't have been enough because it wasn't enough from their first fight.
I understand that. I'm just saying he has a lot of things that he hasn't fully utilized. So I look and I'm just like, man, Rimuru, and I feel like, and you said you've dove into it a little bit more. You may not know this, but I feel like when Raphael didn't give him the information immediately because it was kind of like stuck and not talking, did he copy Hinata's ability with Beelzebub? Because he said you had to sacrifice something.
Yeah.
You got to sacrifice, I recommend you sacrifice your ultimate ability, Beelzebub, to take her move or whatever, right? Did he copy it and keep it? Is Beelzebub getting an upgrade like Raphael got an upgrade?
And that I am not sure. I'm thinking that they took it, but enhanced it with Beelzebub, right? Like I'm thinking this is just
that's what I'm thinking.
Like it's a fusion type deal, right?
Right.
So yeah, the fact that it was developed mid-fight is unbelievable. Because I mean, he was struggling. Like it was possible that he could have died in that fight. Hence, the end until he decides to do what he do with that move. But speaking of the end, like what the misunderstandings I think it's a great thing in shows like this and Jobless Reincarnation because they have so many implications on what happens to the world within these misunderstandings. But I'm so curious as to see what's going to happen next. This is another one that had me fucked up with the cliffhanger because at the end, Hinata gets that sword that was given to her by those 7 dweebs, went to attack Rimuru as it was a bomb to be set off basically. Mm-hmm. And she jumps in front of it. Obviously, Rimuru's going to save her, right? But like, I wish we would have got like that was the cliffhanger that punched me right in the nutsack. Like it blue balled the fuck out of me. I was so mad. What's your gut check? What you thinking? This is only 8 out of 20, by the way. 24. We got 24.
I know, right? Obviously, yes. Obviously, Rimuru's gonna save, but the issue, I don't know, bro. So, do you think that we're gonna get into that war sooner?
The Timber War?
Yeah.
Ooh, damn, that's a great question.
And I'm only saying that because this does leave a shift in powers, essentially. Because if she loses her ultimate ability and he loses his, because in the moment we think that his ability is lost, which I'm not sure if it is or not, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think so, but...
Yeah, I don't think so either, but in the moment we could think that it's lost because its ultimate ability clashed another one, right? We don't know what the outcome is. I think it would be a perfect time to throw in something like that Tenma War, because now we wait for the materialization of either Amiru's new ability or this will stabilize what I guess how the world should view him outside of just being a demon lord, because he was already talking about we need to get this side of the great woods together as well, right?
Yep.
So
unification.
A start of a war is like, hey, I need y'all backup. You know what I mean? So that could be him doing that, or even let's say he don't need a backup, but let's say he wants to protect them because they're like, well, we want to destroy the whole of the great, is it Jura forest or whatever? If they decide they want to destroy the whole of the forest, he's not guarding all of the forest. So it would be a good move now to, if that is the case, that he goes and unifies that, like we were talking about. So maybe that's what happens next.
Yeah, because I'm thinking, because you still got to remember, the very first episode of this season was about the guy talking about the other isekai guy, I believe, who was talking to Rimuru when he was a teacher, basically. But he's basically the mastermind behind I can't remember his name? The Demon Lord, or the guy that was trying to become a Demon Lord. What is his name? It starts with a C. Y'all know who I'm talking about. But he was trying to become a Demon Lord, and Rimuru killed him, obviously. And that was all, like, he was playing puppeteer to that guy. So that kid or guy or whatever that has the clown posse or whatever, and that has, I think, all the scheming he's doing, whatever his plan was that he mentioned in episode 1, I think lays into what's going on with the other Demon Lord, which the vampire chick, and what looks to be, what's her name, that Rimuru took his looks from. What's the chick name? So many characters that it's hard to remember their name, so forgive me. Shizue. Yeah, Shizue. It looked like she got Shizue in that frost tank in this episode too, like the vampire Demon Lord lady.
Yeah.
It looked like that was her. I could be mistaken on who that character was, but
Lumiere has her.
Yeah, yep. So it's a lot that is going on that is kind of culminating right now. I think the Tema War is something that we're gonna get at the end of the season, like episode 23, 24, and it's gonna lead into season 4 probably. That's my gut check there. But with all these chess pieces moving around with the other Demon Lord and etc., I think it's going to be something, a turning point, if you will, within these two Demon Lords, and hopefully they don't clash. But with Hinata mentioned that Rimuru is on the same level as her Demon Lord that she ride with, her mentioning that they're on the same level is kind of like a foreshadow, in my opinion. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking they're going to come to a head at some point for some reason. Maybe being manipulated by the guy I mentioned earlier the entire time. So like his goal is maybe to put them two together, or heads together, so they can butt heads and make it a little bit easier for him to maneuver a little bit more, because he can't do shit with Rimuru or the other Demon Lord. So that's just where I'm sitting at with this plan and these ideas. But what a great season so far. Like an absolute banger of a season.
I would say that this so far, and I hate to say it, this is better than the previous season.
Yeah.
Just in terms of, like, I know that we got the building of the actual Demon Lord and stuff like that, but the political build up already for me has been better. Just the conversation in terms of where we're positioning, it just feels like it's pushing us forward a little bit more.
Well said. I think this is a great addition to, or great continuation of, I should say, the previous season. Like, this is a perfect jump off point to continuing what they were building before. Great stuff. Now, last but certainly not least, a condition called love. This one then does what it does every single time. I hate Hanue, and then I'm like, but is he okay? But then I hate him again. But is he okay? But then lastly, at the end of this episode, I'm like, yo, what the fuck is up with this guy? Now, this episode continues with him stalking her, basically joining her workplace just so he can spend more time with her on some creepy shit. She doesn't see it. Obviously. but he's working there with her, but he's being chill about it. Like he's being cool until her old friend from childhood says something and he gets all weird about it and becomes a dick to him, which is so controlling and strange and just uncomfortable. I mean, he makes me uncomfortable. And then this whole facade that he puts on when he with Haruto is annoying, but I just don't know, man. I don't know how to feel. Like, I like the show still.
So the thing is that I get it coming from the lore and context we got about his character in a sense, right? I get how that makes your mentality in a way like that, you know, based on what his like grandmother said and stuff like that. It doesn't make it likable, or just because you can understand it doesn't mean it's okay.
Right. Fear in the Discord said he stinks. He absolutely stinks.
But I love our woman protagonist. You know?
Taru, yeah, she's so great.
She's doing a great job at learning how to fall in love, bro.
Yeah.
It's just him. And it's like, I get it. And I want this to work out if it's going to work out. I just don't want to hate him, or I don't want to dislike him more. Because I think bro need therapy.
Straight up. So,
because it's like him, and it's like the way they kind of like leave in like the foreshadowing and the whispering, him not being immediately recognized, even though he don't look no different in that picture that we saw at the very end of the show.
I was just about to say that to go to the end of the show, because I think that's the meat and potatoes of what this spoiler talk needs to be about. Because what the fuck? Apparently, because they went to school together, elementary school together, they were all in that same yearbook, same school together. So essentially, was he there the whole time?
Same class?
Was he attached to Hataru the whole time? Like, was this all a part of some big fucking weird, stalkerish, conceptually, I'm going to get her somehow, some way, and this is how, like, type, you know what I'm saying?
And I don't think it was that, so to speak, right? Because the age.
Sorry. But do you remember what he said at the end?
He did say something weird, right?
Yes, he did, brother. Yes, he did.
What did he say?
He said something like, why did you have to remember, or some shit like that? Or it was like something that along the lines of he knew who Hotaru was back then. Like it kind of like indicated that.
Right. So
it's tough.
What I was feeling is that he was an unrecognized student before, right? Mm-hmm. He got older. Obviously, his appeal got people to like him for more shallow reasons. When, as a kid, he probably was not liked for said same reasons or whatever, right?
Gloomy. He was gloomy and whatnot.
Right. But as a angsty teen, people find that more attractive. But also, now, because of the things we found out from his past with his parents and his grandma raising him, essentially, right? Yeah. Now he's on the prowl looking for love. So you mix that past with his current self. I think that's what we're looking at. But I don't think it changes the concept, because I don't think he set out specifically to get her. Okay. Because of how the beginning started. You know what I mean? True. I don't think it was like the beginning started and then this is all just some grand scheme to come get her in the end, which I'm not saying it's not possible. No, this is what I'm thinking. That wasn't it, right? Like, he knew of her the entire time, and maybe he was trying to find her until he saw her that day. Because when he saw her that day, it was almost an instant, hey, let's do this type thing. Which indicates that he already knew who she was now that you think about it, right? Like, when you put that in perspective, like, he already knew who she was the moment he saw her. Like, oh shit, it's her. I can finally get her now. You know, like, type shit. Like, that's the kind of feel that I got now with the, like, when I thought back of everything that played out, right? When I think back on it, that's what I think happened when he saw her. Like, he recognized that fact that it was part of her, but maybe he was a part of the reason why her friend, those rumors spread. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe he spread those rumors
to get her friend to get those two friends to break up from each other. You know what I'm saying? Cause that drama, that split type shit. Like it's just so much.
I was gonna be like, what if he was the boy that she liked?
No, because the boy that she liked was the.
I know.
Yeah, the guy. Yeah.
I was thinking like, man, that'd have been crazy, but then it's like it's not that.
Oh, okay. That would have been actually wow.
But I don't. It to me, it leads me in the direction of like further believing that this gentleman is a master manipulator. But I still have to see where it goes. I still gotta see where it goes. Because I love her. What's her name? Hotaru. I love her, bro. Yeah. And I gotta see if this turns out happy for her.
Yeah, because I don't not want to see them together, right? Like I don't want to not see them together.
I want to see love change him for the better, like it's been spoken of.
Yes, that's what I want to see. And you could see the moment where it happens, like right, like where it was, when she was talking about how the manager, or when the manager was talking about how he remembered him and he was blushing about that. Like people care about you, even though, you know what I'm saying? Like he doesn't understand that concept yet. I think that's where the damage is. But the whole, when I saw that part and he was kind of opening up to other people, that's when I'm like, okay, now this is getting better. I'm okay with this because now I'm starting to understand, like you said, with his parents doing what they did was terrible, absolutely fucked up. And I kind of understood his reasoning for not wanting to get close to anybody else. And then his grandpa or whoever that old dude was telling him how to find love or whatever the case may be. Like, I get it now. I get his upbringing, right? But then that yearbook thing happened and then it made me hate him again because of that. Like, what did you say? What were you talking about when you mentioned something about this yearbook? That freaked me out. It freaked me out too much. And I'm like, I don't, fuck, man. It's hard. It's hard now. It's hard to fathom.
We on the same page, bro.
Great stuff.
I don't, it's very compelling because it's just like we said before. The show, what it's doing is doing a good job of keeping us on our toes. Yep. And I do think it's masterful in a sense to make you kind of distrust a character that you want to trust so bad. Yep. Even if it's for the sake of another character. So it's like crazy to be here, bro.
Yeah, it's evoking emotion that you just don't see. You know, and that's why I love it. That's why I began to love Slice of Life, is because of that particular reason. When you can evoke emotion in me where it's not like entertainment only, it's great.
Yeah, it was making me feel like how I feel when people follow me on all social media. My name is King Tally on all social media. I'm
at Polo Born Fly. You can follow our social medias at Might Check Waifu on Twitter and at Might Check Waifu on Instagram and TikTok and Threads. And as always, Might Check.
You're now tuned into Mic Check Waifu.